This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Mitch McConnell isn't just an odious scoundrel. Mitch McConnell is more than a mere liar, cheater, and thief. Mitch McConnell is a wanton fraud who sits on high like some sort of tyrant, imposing his obstructionist will extra-constitutionally and impacting this nation for the several decades to come. Remember when Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland to fill the Supreme Court vacancy left when Justice Antonin Scalia died? Remember McConnell's argument that no Supreme Court vacancy should be filled during a presidential election year?
That no Supreme Court vacancy created during a presidential election year should be filled because the American people are in the process of speaking. The elections are going on all over the country. The next president will be making this choice. The people will decide who should be the appointing authority. So no, he will not be considered by the Senate.
And remember how strident he was about his earnest concerns about not even allowing Merrick Garland a hearing because it would give the outgoing president, Barack Obama, an opportunity to control things far beyond his tenure in office. You know, like every president who has done his constitutionally required duty of appointing justices to the Supreme Court.
So I think the American people understand the consequence of this. This would be President Obama having one more opportunity to control things far beyond his tenure in office. This nominee might live decades beyond the Obama administration. So the stakes are enormous. The American people would like to have a say in it, and we're going to guarantee that they do have a say in it by choosing the next president of the United States.
We ask people to...
Yeah, he's so concerned about giving the American people a say in the appointment of a Supreme Court justice that he's taking away the American people's say in the matter, since they elected Barack Obama, overwhelmingly so, to a second term in office when the vacancy occurred. And then finally, remember his sinister reading of the Senate's constitutional role in the process of confirming justices to the Supreme Court?
Nominee.
We don't know who the next president will nominate, but under the Constitution, the president does have the opportunity to nominate, and the Senate has the opportunity to make a decision about whether to consider it. We don't have to ask the president for permission. This is a separate constitutional responsibility of the Senate. The president initiates the appointment. The Senate decides whether or not to consider it at all.
What is all this nebulous nonsense about the president having the opportunity to nominate and the Senate having the opportunity of whether to consider the nomination? Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution is very clear, Mitch. And he, the president, shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States. From where is Mitch McConnell's willy-nilly language coming? There is no, the president and the Senate get to do it, or if they want to, they can. That section of our founding document contains directive language. They shall do it. And after all of the many times Mitch McConnell acted as though this is really truly what he believed, deep in his heart of hearts, that it is unthinkable to nominate and confirm a Supreme Court justice during a presidential election year, it should come as no surprise to you that it was all an act and that he is a liar. Because just the other day, he was asked this very question about what happens if a vacancy on the Supreme Court comes available during the 2020 presidential election, and this was his answer.
The Supreme Court justices die next year. What would you do?
We'd fill it.
Yeah, the reason I started with the judges, as important as all these other things are that we're talking about, I mean, if you want to have a long-lasting, positive impact on the country, everything else changes. I remember during the tax bill, there were people agonizing over whether one part of the tax bill was permanent or not. I said, look, the only way the tax bill is permanent depends upon the next election.
The Supreme Court justices die next year. What would you do?
We'd fill it.
If this unabashed hypocrisy doesn't fill you with an almost uncontrollable seething rage, then you need to wake up. The Republican Party has to win by gerrymandering districts, by suppressing the vote, and generally lying, cheating, and stealing. And then when they do win, they continue this reprehensible behavior. Elections have consequences, folks. Dire consequences. If you have any doubt about whether changing the Senate from the Democratic majority to the Republican majority made a difference, I have two words for you. Supreme Court.
But if anybody has any doubts about whether changing the Senate from the Democratic majority to the Republican majority made a difference, I have two words for them: Supreme Court.
And that's the decision that makes a difference.
Absolutely.